Last episode, we finally answered one of the biggest questions in machine learning. Do we measure how wrong our model is? The answer was binary cross entropy loss for that classification example. It gave us a single number that told us exactly how good or bad our model's predictions were. But that leaves us with a much bigger question. We know how to measure the error, but how do we actually reduce it? How does a computer with millions of parameters somehow improve itself without anyone manually changing the numbers? How does AI actually learn? Before we jump into the mathematical notation behind gradient descent, I think it's much easier if we first understand what the algorithm is trying to do geometrically. Imagine that the surface on your screen represents our loss function. The exact equation doesn't really matter yet, but just imagine every point on this landscape corresponds to a different choice of our model's parameters. Some choice produces a large loss and others produce a much smaller one. So our goal is simply to find the point where the loss is as small as possible. Or, if we forget the math for a moment, our goal is to reach the bottom of the bowl. So how do we do that? Imagine you're standing somewhere on the side of a huge mountain. It's the middle of the night, you're completely blindfolded, and you can't see the valley. You have absolutely no idea where the lowest point is. The only information you have is how the ground feels beneath your feet. You can tell which direction slopes downhill the most. So, naturally, you take a few careful steps in that direction. Then you stop, feel the slope again, take a few more steps, stop, feel the slope again, and you simply repeat this process over and over again. Eventually, the ground beneath your feet almost becomes flat. There really isn't a downhill direction anymore. Congratulations, you finally reached the bottom of the bowl. And surprisingly, that's almost exactly what gradient descent trains a machine learning model to do. The only question left is how do we solve this mathematically? So let's actually watch this algorithm work. To keep things simple, we'll start with probably the easiest function imaginable. Y is equal to x squared. Now, for the sake of teaching, just pretend that you don't know where the minimum point is. So our goal is exactly the same as before. We're trying to find the lowest point of the curve. Let's say that we thought the lowest point is at x is equal to 4. The first thing gradient descent needs to know is how steep the hill is at our current position. We can calculate that using the derivative. For this function, dy over dx is equal to 2x, and since we're at x is equal to 4, the slope is 2 times 4, which is 8. That's a fairly steep hill. Now, here's the entire gradient descent algorithm written on the screen right now. Don't worry if this equation looks intimidating. By the end of this video, every part of it will make perfect sense. For now, let's just use it. We'll choose a learning rate of 0.1. So now our new position becomes x is equal to 4 minus 0.1 multiplied by 8, which is 3.2. Notice what happened. We moved a little closer to the minimum, but we're not there yet. So we simply repeat the exact same process again and again at our new position. Take one step, take another step, again and again. Every iteration moves us closer to the bottom of the curve. But if you've been paying attention, you might have already noticed something interesting. As we get closer to the minimum, our steps become smaller and smaller, until eventually we barely move at all. Why does that happen? The answer is hidden inside this equation. So now that you've understood gradient descent through an example, let's finally understand what this equation is actually saying. First, this term here, dy over dx, this is the derivative, and it tells us how steep the hill is at its current position. If we're standing on a very steep part of the hill, the derivative has a large value, and if we're closer to the bottom, the derivative will be closer and closer to 0. That's exactly why the steps naturally become smaller as we approach the bottom. The hill itself was becoming less steep, so the derivative was becoming smaller, which meant our update became smaller too. But there's something else you may have noticed. Why are we subtracting the derivative? Why not add it instead? Well, imagine you add the derivative. Instead of walking downhill, you'll actually be walking uphill. We'll move further and further away from the minimum. Finally, there's this symbol alpha. This is called the learning rate. Think of it as deciding how big each step should be. If the learning rate is too small, we'll eventually reach the minimum, but it will take a very long time. If it's too large, we might completely overshoot the minimum and bounce off from one side to the other. So choosing a good learning rate is really about finding the balance. Big enough to make progress, but small enough to avoid missing the actual target. And that's it. Believe it or not, you've now understood the entire idea behind gradient descent for a function of one variable. But there's a problem. Real machine learning models don't usually have one parameter, they have many. Which means our hill is no longer a simple curve, it's a landscape with many different directions. So how do we actually decide which way to walk now? Suddenly, everything changes. Before standing on our curve, we only had two possible directions. We could only walk left or we could walk right. But now we're standing on a landscape. We can walk forward, backwards, left, right, or any direction in between. And so here's the new problem. Which direction actually decreases our loss the fastest? A single derivative can't answer that question anymore. We need something that tells us the steepness in every direction at once. And once where one of the most important ideas in multivariable calculus comes in. The gradient vector. And this vector has a very special property. It always points in the direction of the steepest increase in our loss function. So whenever we stand on the landscape, the gradient is always pointing uphill, which immediately tells us something useful. If the gradient points uphill, then the fastest way downhill must simply be the opposite direction. And that's exactly why the gradient descent follows the negative gradient. It's not a mathematical trick, it's simply telling the model, walk the other way. But this raises one final question. How do we actually calculate the gradient itself? The answer is surprisingly simple. We calculate the slope, one parameter at a time. For every parameter in our model, we ask the same exact question. If I only change this parameter slightly, how much would the loss change? These are called partial derivatives. And when we combine all of those partial derivatives together, we get a single vector, the gradient, which means our gradient descent equation simply becomes that on the board. And although this equation might look much more complicated, it's doing the exact same thing as before. Measure the steepness, take a step downhill, and repeat. So let's finally put everything together. Remember our cancer detection model from the previous episodes? At the beginning, the model knows nothing. We start with completely random values for our parameters. These parameters make predictions, and we compare these predictions against the real answer using binary cross entropy. We measure how wrong the model is, and that gives us our loss. But the model still doesn't know how to improve, so we calculate the gradient, which tells us which direction would increase the loss the fastest. Since we want to reduce our error, we simply move in the opposite direction, and the model updates its parameters. And the process repeats with new parameters, new predictions, new loss, and a new gradient. Another small step, and we repeat this process again and again and again. With every iteration, the parameters become slightly better, the predictions become slightly more accurate, and the loss gradually decreases. Eventually, the model stops improving significantly. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what machine learning engineers mean when they say a model is training. It isn't magically becoming intelligent, it isn't inventing new mathematics, it's simply following the process we've built together. A neural network might have millions or even billions of parameters, but the underlying idea is still the same. One small step repeated millions of times. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how AI models actually learn.